All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going beyond the surface, the thumping bass and the flashing lights, to figure out how to really truly connect with electronic music,
Okay.
specifically the underground scene.
Right.
Our source material for this one is a podcast interview with someone who's been deeply involved in Sri Lanka's progressive electronic music scene, which is a genre known for its complex melodies and kind of evolving soundscapes.
Right. It's interesting because, the scene itself
Yeah.
often gets a certain reputation
Yeah.
associated with substance use.
Yeah.
But this interview really flips that on its head.
Yeah, totally. And the guest really gets into this idea of natural highs, saying that the music itself can create altered states of consciousness.
Right.
And I'm curious to hear more about that. Like how does that work?
Well, they point to the structure of the music, the electronic music. You've got those driving bass lines, layered synthesizers, hypnotic percussion, and these are all things that are kind of intentionally crafted to create a sonic journey.
Right.
And they even have this technique that they call sonic journey mapping.
Sonic journey mapping.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all ears. What is that?
So it's a way to actively listen.
Oh.
Imagine you're on a dance floor.
Uh-huh.
You close your eyes, and instead of kind of taking in the whole track at once,
Right.
you focus on each layer individually.
Okay.
So you might start with the kick drum,
Okay.
feeling its pulse.
Yeah.
Then you layer in the bass line,
Yeah.
noticing how it interacts with the kick,
Right.
and then bring in the synths, the percussion, and so on.
So you're basically almost like dissecting the music to really understand how each part contributes to the whole.
Exactly. And by isolating each element, you start to appreciate the complexity
Right.
and the artistry.
Yeah.
It's almost like appreciating the brushstrokes in a painting.
Right.
And that heightened awareness, combined with the physicality of dancing, can lead to a naturally altered state.
And the guest even compares it to meditation. It's about being present and mindful and letting that music wash over you.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me think about those moments when you're like completely lost in the music and time seems to disappear.
Right. That's known as a flow state.
Yeah.
When you're just so absorbed in the activity that everything else just kind of melts away.
Yeah.
And the guest even talks about how the environment can amplify that even further.
Oh, interesting.
Especially in Sri Lanka,
Right.
where you might be dancing on a beach,
Right.
under the stars, feeling the ocean breeze.
Wow, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the environment itself becomes part of that sonic journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of journeys,
Mm-hmm.
the guest also placed a lot of emphasis on the community aspect of this scene.
Yeah.
They describe these incredible moments of connection on the dance floor where everyone is moving together and there's this kind of this intense shared experience.
Can you say a little bit more about that?
Sure.
Like those moments of unspoken connection?
It's almost like tapping into a shared energy.
Okay.
The music acts as a conduit,
Right.
breaking down barriers between people.
Yeah.
And you might just lock eyes with a stranger.
Yeah.
And in that instant, you just know that you're feeling the same thing.
Right.
It's a sense of belonging, of unity, that transcends language.
It's what makes these deep dives so interesting. Those little aha moments. It's like you're unlocking a secret code to a whole new world.
Mm-hmm.
And the guest had some really good advice, I thought, for anyone who is new to the scene and emphasize being open-minded, focusing on connection. And this one kind of surprised me, but taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And by that, what do they mean?
Well, they point out that basic things like getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, and eating properly can make a huge difference in your experience.
Yeah.
You're more present, more receptive to the music and the energy around you.
It's something that I think a lot of us, kind of forget in the excitement of going out. It's almost like, preparing for a marathon or something.
Right.
And the guest also addressed something that I think a lot of newcomers to the scene might face, which is this pressure to enhance the experience artificially.
Right. They really advocate for education and creating safe spaces and emphasize that the natural high is not only real, but more sustainable and meaningful.
Yeah.
It's about respecting yourself, the music, and the community.
So we've talked about natural highs and sonic journey mapping and the community. What other practical techniques does the guest mention for deepening that connection with the music?
Well, we touched on sonic journey mapping.
Right.
But they also talk about the power of breath work.
Breath work on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's something I haven't tried.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
It's surprisingly simple.
Yeah.
They suggest syncing your breath with the rhythm of the music.
Okay.
You're not necessarily counting beats.
Right.
But rather feeling that pulse.
Okay.
The ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And letting your breath kind of follow naturally.
So it's less about a rigid structure and more about finding that organic connection between your body and the music.
Exactly. And they explained that this can actually induce a deeper flow state.
Okay.
You know, that feeling where movement becomes effortless.
Right.
Time seems to melt away.
Yeah.
And you're just completely immersed in the experience.
I can see how syncing your breath with that would enhance that feeling of being in the zone. It's almost like a form of moving meditation.
Exactly. And they even go on to describe how Sri Lanka's unique venues can actually amplify this connection between breath, body, and music.
Okay.
They paint this vivid picture of dancing on a beach under the stars, feeling the ocean breeze on your skin.
Right.
As you breathe in rhythm with the waves and the music.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
It's like all these elements, the music, your breath, the natural surroundings, all come together to create this multi-sensory experience.
Absolutely. And they even share this anecdote about a time when they were playing a set at a mountain retreat in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
As the sun was rising, casting this golden light over the valley.
Wow.
The music swelled, and everyone on the dance floor was breathing in unison, connected by this shared energy.
Yeah.
They described it as a truly transcendent experience.
That's a powerful image. And it makes me think about how we often try to escape our everyday lives through music and dancing.
Yeah.
But what if instead of escaping, we could actually use these experiences to connect more deeply with ourselves and the world around us?
That's a profound insight. And they actually touch on that very idea when they talk about their vision for the future of the scene.
Okay.
They imagine a culture where the focus shifts from individual consumption to collective experience.
Yeah.
From fleeting highs to lasting transformation.
So it's not just about having fun. It's about using music as a tool for growth and connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they believe this shift starts with a change in mindset.
Okay.
We need to move away from the idea that we need external substances to have a profound experience.
Right.
Instead, they encourage us to explore the natural highs that come from deep listening, mindful movement, and connecting with a community of like-minded individuals.
It's about finding that sense of euphoria and wonder that's already within us, just waiting to be unlocked.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how realistic is it to achieve that kind of purity in a scene that's often associated with commercialism and, let's face it, some of those less healthy aspects we talked about earlier?
That's a valid question.
Yeah.
And while they acknowledge that those challenges exist, they remain optimistic. They believe that by educating people about the power of the natural high, by creating safe and inclusive spaces, and by fostering a culture of respect and awareness, we can move toward a more sustainable and meaningful future.
It's inspiring to hear someone who's so deeply embedded in the scene speak with such passion and hope.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, what are some practical steps we can take to cultivate that mindset of awareness and intentionality they talk about?
Well, they emphasize the importance of self-care, even on the dance floor.
Okay, so we're back to taking care of ourselves. They mentioned it earlier, but how does that actually play out in the context of, a late night event?
It's about listening to your body's cues.
Okay.
Pacing yourself throughout the night.
Right.
Taking breaks when you need them. Staying hydrated.
Okay.
And recognizing that pushing yourself beyond your limits can actually detract from the experience.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you're energized and engaged, but not completely depleted.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not about endurance. It's about being present and mindful throughout the entire journey. It's like running a marathon. You wouldn't sprint the whole way.
Right.
You need to conserve your energy and find a sustainable rhythm.
Right. And that rhythm extends beyond the physical.
Okay.
It's about finding a mental and emotional rhythm as well.
Right.
being aware of your energy levels,
Yeah.
knowing when to step back and observe, when to connect with others, right? And when to lose yourself in the music.
So we're talking about a holistic approach.
Exactly.
Where the physical, the mental, and the emotional
all
all come together to create a balanced and fulfilling experience.
Precisely. And they point out that this balanced approach allows you to tap into a deeper level of enjoyment and connection that lasts long after the music stops.
It's about carrying those positive vibes and insights with you into your everyday life.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about natural highs, sonic journey mapping, breath work, the importance of community, self-care, and even touched upon the future of the scene. But I'm curious, what's the one key takeaway you hope listeners will glean from this conversation?
I think the core message here is this idea that you don't need anything extra to really connect deeply with the music.
Yeah.
It's about being present, open, and aware.
You know, as you were describing those techniques
and that kind of mindset shift, it made me think about how applicable this all is beyond the dance floor. You know, it's like a blueprint for mindful living.
Absolutely. The principles of deep listening, self-awareness, and connection are universal.
Yeah, and if we can apply them to something as specific as experiencing electronic music, imagine the possibilities in other areas of life.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that same intentionality and presence in everything we do, whether it's, a conversation with a loved one, a walk in nature, or even just enjoying a meal.
I love that idea of bringing that kind of dance floor consciousness into our everyday lives.
Yeah, the guest's vision for the future. A culture centered around genuine connection and transformation really resonates with that.
Yeah, it's about stripping away the distractions and focusing on what truly matters,
The music, the community, the shared experience.
And that shared experience doesn't require any special qualifications or substances. It's available to everyone.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired to dive deeper into this world, what practical steps can they take?
Well, remember the guest's advice about self-care.
Yeah.
Make sure you're well rested, hydrated, and nourished before heading out. That foundation really sets the stage for a positive experience.
And once you're on the dance floor, don't be afraid to experiment with those techniques we discussed. Sonic journey mapping, syncing your breath with the rhythm. See what resonates with you, what helps you unlock those deeper levels of enjoyment.
And remember, it's not a competition. There's no right or wrong way to experience the music. It's about finding what works for you. What helps you connect with the energy and the community.
The guest also emphasized the importance of finding safe and inclusive spaces.
Absolutely.
Where everyone feels welcome to express themselves without judgment.
Those spaces can be a sanctuary, allowing us to explore different facets of ourselves through music and movement.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I think it goes back to that powerful question we touched upon earlier. What if the most profound experiences are found not in amplification, but in deep listening?
Listening to the music, to the people around us, and to the whispers of wisdom within ourselves.
It's a reminder that the extraordinary is often found in the ordinary. If we just take the time to truly tune in.
Well, that's a wrap on this deep dive into the heart of electronic music. We hope you enjoyed the journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep listening deeply.